guys, welcome back for episode number 80 of the weekly playback. Sorry I was out last week, so last Friday I fell flat on my face, which if it's ever happened to you, then you would know how painful it is. I'm not sure if I was holding something at the time, or I can't remember because I did not break the fall with my hands. So I literally fell like flat on my face. And yeah, my nose was in a lot of pain. So I went to urgent care just to get it looked at, just to make sure nothing was broken. The doctor said that he does not think it was broken or fractured or anything like that. But you know, it was quite sore the next few days. It's getting better, but every time I have like an itch on my nose and I accidentally rub my nose or something like that, then it just is still a little bit sore, but much better than last week. And it was just a very crazy week overall anyway. So that's why I did not shoot a video last week. But anyway, enough about my nose, and let's move on to the games I played. Let's talk about BOOoop. So this is not just BOOoop, but BOOoop, because this is the Halloween edition, the spooky edition of BOOoop. So this game was released just this year, 2023. I believe it'll be coming to retail soon. This copy a friend picked up for me at Gen Con because they had some early copies at Gen Con. This is a two-player game, an abstract strategy game designed by Scott Brady. The art is done by Kurt Covert and it's published by Smirk and Dagger Games. So in this game, you are going to be using the bottom of the box. So you're going to take off the lid, and then there will be this cloth board inside. You are going to remove the cloth and place it on top of the bottom part of the board, and then that will be like bed skirting on the bottom of the bed. So this is actually a bed, and you're going to have different squares on this bed. So there are two different colored cats in this game. There are black and white. So here is the white kitten and a white adult cat, and the orange ghost kitten that goes with the white player. Ghost cat, I should say, it's not a kitten. Here are the black kittens and cats, and the purple ghost cat that goes with the black cats player. So in this game, the objective is to get 3 cats in a row, and you will immediately win if you can line up 3 cats in a row. But you only start with 8 kittens in your supply. So you need to upgrade your kittens into cats, and then you need to get 3 cats in a row in order to win the game. So how this works is, you, on your turn, again, you start with kittens in your supply. You're going to just plop down your kittens somewhere on this board. And kittens boop other kittens, hence the name of this game. And you will be booping not only orthogonally adjacent, but diagonal as well. So like, let's suppose that there were 2 cats in a row here, 2 kittens rather, and I placed my kitten here, then this one would get booped this way, but this one would get booped diagonally away. And you can also boop kittens and cats off of the bed. An important note is that kittens cannot boop cats, but cats can boop other cats and kittens. You cannot boop if there is nowhere to boop into. So for example, if there was 2 kittens in a row and I place my kitten here, it can't get booped into this space. And there's like no chain reactions either. So like, let's suppose I placed my kitten here, this one gets booped here, this one is not going to get booped away, because that would just be utter chaos. Like if you had chain reactions in this game would just go on forever and ever and just never end, and it would just be pure chaos. So there are no chain reactions, no chain booping. So you can boop orthogonally adjacent and diagonally, and you can boop off of the bed, and you can boop your own kittens, of course. So that's why it's a bit tricky, this game, because your own kittens and cats will get booped by your own pieces as well. So in order to upgrade your kittens into cats, because you need to get 3 cats in a row in order to win, not 3 kittens, you first need to get 3 kittens in a row. Once you get 3 of your own kittens in a row, you will remove your kittens from the board and from the game and replace those kittens with cats. Now you have cats in your supply. You don't immediately put the cats on the board, obviously, because then you would immediately win. So now you have cats in your supply to use. You will always have 8 cats or kittens, or a combination of, to use, at a time. If you get the situation where you have all of your kittens on the board and you don't have any cats yet and you haven't gotten 3 in a row, then you can, immediately, like on your turn, remove a kitten and then, now add a cat to your supply. So, if you end up in a situation where you just haven't been able to get 3 kittens in a row to upgrade your kittens, then you're able to add cats to your supply that way. when you have cats, a combination of cats and kittens, if you get a combination of a cat and kitten, you know, 3 in a row, then you will again remove all 3 of them, but only the kittens will be upgraded, of course, because you already have that cat that's been upgraded. There may be a situation where you, even if you have a combination of cats and kittens, where you want to place a kitten but not a cat, because again, cats can boop other cats and kittens, but kittens cannot boop cats. So, you know, strategically, you may want to place a kitten even if you have a cat in your supply, just because, you know, it'll allow a certain other cat to remain in place. So yeah, so you're just trying to get 3 in a row, and again, you can boop your own pieces. You have to. So if you place a cat down and it's, you know, orthogonally adjacent to a cat of your own, you have to boop that cat if there's space for it to be booped into. So, you know, it's a very abstract strategy game. It's kind of like feels a little bit like a more abstract checkers. You know, so you're just placing cats or kittens down on the board and just trying to boop them into place so that you hopefully get 3 in a row. Now, the way that the ghosts work, so on your turn, you can bring out the ghost on one of the seams. So the ghosts travel along the seams. They do, so, you know, they do not go in the actual squares. So you're going to bring out a ghost at the end of your turn on one of the seams. Now, when the ghost comes out, it just appears. So if there are cats or kittens here, it's not going to boop them because it just magically appeared there. But after that, every time you take a turn, the ghost is going to advance 1 space along the seam in the direction it's going until it eventually falls off the board. So when it advances, if there's cats or kittens, they will be booped. However, unlike, you know, regular boops, so for example, you know, typically if I had placed a kitten here, this one could not be booped because there's already a kitten here. That is not the case with ghosts. With ghosts, it can still be booped if there's an empty space, and if there's no empty space, it'll be booped off of the board because ghosts are super scary, so they are going to scare your kittens and cats away. So you will always go to the next available space or off of the board. So that's how ghosts work until they come off of the board, and then you can place them again on a future turn. So, you know, you can strategically use your ghost to hopefully you know, boop cats and kittens into the locations that you want to boop them into. So you, again, it can come on any side of the board too. It doesn't have to be on your side. So any seam that's, you know, anywhere on the board, you would just start it at one edge along, you know, one side of the board at the end of a turn. So that is essentially boop. So you are just booping cats and kittens until you hopefully upgrade your kittens into cats and then get 3 cats in a row in order to win. I have played this game 3 times. I really like it, but I really suck at it because I've lost all 3 games. So, you know, it's one of those games where you may end up, you know, helping your opponent even in some situations. So, which I've unfortunately done a number of times. And then sometimes, you know, it's like kind of like checkers where, you know, I find myself not being able to, you know, play a defensive move because my opponent has set themselves up pretty well, and they're going to win on the next turn because they have 2 opportunities to win, and I can't block or, you know, change the situation in 2 places by placing a cat or a kitten. So I'm not very good at this game, but I really like it. I really like the theme, of course, because I'm a huge fan of Halloween, so it's a super cute game. It's an abstract strategy game, super easy to play, well, to teach, like, and learn. And to play, of course, but, you know, if you're good at abstract strategy games, then, you know, hopefully you'll have a chance at winning. But I think, you know, it's a game that I can hopefully get better at by playing more and more. But I really like it, and I'm glad I have it in my collection. So yeah, so definitely check out BOOoop if you like abstract strategy games, and especially if you like cats and Halloween, then you definitely want to check out the Halloween edition. And you can play it without the ghost so that you can just play like regular BOOoop if you want to. So yeah, so that's BOOoop. Let's talk about Planet Unknown. So this is a 2022 game for 1 to 6 players, designed by Ryan Lambert and Adam Rehberg, and it's the art is done by Yuma, and it's published by Adam's Apple Games. So this is a city building kind of polyomino puzzle game, yeah, with tile drafting. So let me show you. So this game comes, so this was my 2nd time playing this game. The first time I ever played it, I played it at UKGE in 2022. So you are going to have a Lazy Susan in this game. and there's going to be a bunch of different polyomino pieces in this Lazy Susan. And each player is going to have a planet. So your planet, you know, so here is like the basic side of the board. Here is like a more advanced side. So you can see that there are different planets, and the advanced side looks different on each of them. So I think that, you know, that will make the game a lot more different if you play with the advanced side. But on the regular side, everyone's planet looks the same. And then additionally, each player is going to have this. So I'm trying to see which side is the regular side. Yes. So the Universal Coalition side is the like basic side of this tracker that you are going to have. But if you are playing with the more advanced version of the game, then of course everyone's board is going to look a little bit differently. Like for example, this one is Jump Drive, and this one is Oasis Unlimited, and this one is pretty cool. It's got like cool artwork that looks like tunnels. I don't know if that actually makes connections between those or what's going on there, but yeah, so you can see how they kind of look different. That is very interesting. I wonder how that plays. So yeah, so I'm just obviously going to explain the basic side because that is what I played again. So in this game, you are, you know, placing down polyomino pieces until obviously the game end is triggered, and then you're going to be scoring different things on your player board. There's different kinds of polyomino pieces, like different shapes as you can see, and there's different kind of terrain types, and you'll also see like these comets or meteors, I guess they're called. This thing here, obviously, you'll see rover pieces. You'll see, yeah, just different kinds of things on the different tiles, which once you place a piece onto your board will determine which tracks you can move up. So, you know, whoever is the active player, the commander, is going to get to decide which part of this Lazy Susan is going to face them. So they can spin it any way they like, and then all the other players have to take from the compartment that is facing them as well. So, you know, you're going to have like your little things in front of the Lazy Susan so that each person knows which section that they can pick from once this has been rotated, in case you can't sit around it appropriately. So you can pick either from this section or this section. So if you place a water tile covering a portion of water, then you can advance on the water tracker here. If you place a tile that has some red, then you will of course advance on the rover tracker. But anytime you place a tile, if there's a comet, then you have to place one of these comet tokens on it. Also, there's going to be some of these things on the board. Oh, it looks like I have the basic version. I think that these look much nicer in the deluxe version, but it looks like I have a basic version. So there are these like pod thingies which you would place onto the board where the pod locations are, and you want to try to remove them by having your rovers go to them. But if a tile ends up covering it, then you lose it and you don't get to remove it for points, because typically if you get to remove it for points, you would place it up here, and each one that you've removed will be worth a point at the end of the game. So yeah, so those are these little pod things that you'll have on your board. So when you place different tiles, you'll move up different tracks with the different cubes. And as you move up them, you'll be able to, like, you know, get points or unlock special, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong side, or unlock special abilities when you reach certain levels and such. And sometimes you'll even reach like a multicolored space that will then allow you to advance one more space on any other track. So the rover track, once you hit the first rover space, you can bring out the first rover onto your board. The rover you want to move around in order to remove these from the board, these meteors, and you also want to be able to collect your pods in order to get points. So the rover track determines how many spaces you can move. So every time you place a tile that has some red on it, you'll get to move a certain number of spaces depending on where your cube is. So obviously the higher you move, the more spaces you will get to move when you place down a red tile, because at the top you will get to move 4 spaces if you have reached the top of this track by placing a bunch of different red tiles with rovers on them. So that is how the rover track works. The tech track So there's this one gray area, which is called tech. So if you advance on the tech track, because again, anytime you place a tile, you're going to advance 1 cube, this is where you will unlock these special abilities. So you reach different levels in order to unlock special abilities. For example, the first level will allow you to ignore tile adjacency. So typically when you place a tile, it has to be orthogonally adjacent to at least one other tile that you've already placed. But once you reach the first level, that's no longer the case. And then when you reach the second level, you can store these biomass patches, which you earn from advancing on the green track. So these are really good for filling in empty spaces on your planet, so you can store them in order to place them at the end of the game. Once you reach the third level, you can do +1 each time you gain a rover movement. Once you reach level 4, you can double water advancement from tile placement. So again, as we discussed, you advance 1 space on the water track anytime you place a water tile covering water on this planet board. But this will allow you to advance 2 spaces on the water track. And then the last one says unaffected by meteor strikes, do not place meteors. So by advancing all the way to level 5 on the tech track, you no longer have to place these meteors anytime you place a tile that has a meteor on it, which is pretty cool. Biomass, so that is the green one. So anytime you place a green tile, you will advance on the biomass track. And anytime you see a tree, that's when you get to collect one of these small square tiles to help fill in gaps in your planet. And I'll explain in a minute why you need to fill in those gaps. And then water, again, you will be advancing on the water track and getting points. It doesn't look like it does anything extra special for you. You just can seemingly get a lot of points if you reach the top. So if you reach the very top of the water track, you can get 10 points. So it seems to offer more points than the other tracks, and it seems to have more of the multicolored wheels so that you can advance on other, like 1 space on another track if you place a water tile onto your board covering a water space, which is how you would advance on the water tracker. And then finally we have civilization, which is this black tile. So if you place that, you would advance on the civilization track. And I actually do not know what that means. So once you get to that space, what happens? Civilization. Something happens, but now I do not remember what. Oh, now I remember what. Okay, sorry. There are these cards, these civilization cards. So you get to pick from them. So yeah, duh. So for example, when you reach the first level, there is going to be some cards which give you some kind of bonuses or set collection points. So whoever reaches the level 1 first will get to pick up the cards that are there. You know, you don't obviously have all of them. You're going to select only a certain number depending on player count, and then you get to choose from them. And then you'll get to choose a civilization card. So some of them will give you some points, like, you know, for example, this one just gives you 2 points end game. Some of them are like set collection. So it says claim commerce agreement cards to score medals. So for this one, you want to collect multiple of these cards in order to score extra points. Some of them will allow you to advance on different tracks and so on. So whenever you reach a symbol like that, you will get to go to the next level in order to collect a card. So again, you know, that one goes up all the way to 4. So there are cards going all the way up to civilization 4. So if you're going heavy on the set collection, you may want to advance more on the civilization track. So that is what that is. I'm not sure what these cards are. I wonder if they're like... Oh, yes. Okay. So also between each player, there is going to be an objective that you are trying to meet. So for example, this one says have the most civilization resources on the edge of your planet. If you this is going to be between you and another neighbor. If you win it, you will get 5 points. But if both of you tie, you will each get 2 points. So between you and each player to your left and your right, there is going to be some kind of an objective card that you are also trying to meet, which is pretty cool. I think I won one of the objectives in my most recent game, and the other one I did not win. So yeah, so that is what those are. So let's get back to the board and how scoring works. So at the end of the game end will be triggered once I believe 3 of the sections in the Lazy Susan are empty or something like that, or if a player can no longer place anything. Oh, but before I do that, let me just show you the rovers. So here are the rovers that you'll be placing out and moving along your planet in order to collect those meteors, to remove them, and in order to get your pods so that you can hopefully score some points for them. And you'll also score points for meteors. So when you remove meteors from your board, for every 3 meteorites you have removed, you will get 1 point. So you are trying to cover up your planet, but you want to try to complete rows and columns, because as you can see, by completing certain rows and columns, you will get points. So the ones that are valued the most are obviously the longer ones. So the ones in the center are worth 3 points if you have filled every single square. In order to be able to score a completed row or column, there can be no meteorites. If there is a meteorite, then you do not get to score it, even if you had every square filled, unfortunately. That's why it's really important to get rover movement and to remove those meteorites with your rover. So that is one way you get points, is by completing rows and columns, which I highly recommend, because I did not complete as many rows and columns and I lost pretty abysmally as usual. The first time I ever played this, I lost, I did not do well, and I thought I was doing better this time, but I still did not do that well. I think I came in last place, if I remember correctly. So that is one way to get points. So obviously a major way to get points. And then again, we already talked about the pods, we talked about the meteorites and the different points that you will get by advancing on the different tracks. And then the cards between you and the other players, the objective cards. And I think that is it. So that is Planet Unknown. So it's a polyomino game in which you're advancing up different tracks, and people are building their planets in different ways. There's a little, I wouldn't say, it's entirely luck, but depending on who wants what, everyone will get a chance to be commander, and then you get the chance to spin this lazy Susan, and then you have to pick from one of the 2 tiles that is in front of you. And again, the game end will be triggered if someone can no longer place anything on their board, which happened to me. My board was filling up, and I created my board in such a way that it became harder and harder for me to start placing pieces. So I ended up triggering game end when I could no longer place a piece onto my planets. But yeah, it's a really cool game. It's a really cool polyomino game. So if you like polyomino games, then this is one I do highly recommend. I did not back the expansion that was on Kickstarter or GameFound recently, so I don't know what the expansion adds. But if you're into polyomino games, I think you will enjoy this one, because it's a little bit more than just a polyomino. Like, you get to actually move around on the planet that you're creating to try to remove those obstructions and hopefully, score more points by removing them if you have those completed rows and columns, and also by, in order to get more points by removing them. And you also want to remove those pods that we talked about. And, if at any point in time there's a pod, like the pods start out on these spaces, and you place a tile over it and you had not yet removed the pod, then the pod gets destroyed. You no longer have the opportunity to try to remove that pod with your rover. So that is Planet Unknown. So I enjoyed this game. I think I will keep it in my collection. I'm glad that I was able to avoid my completionist tendency and so I did not back the expansion on GameFound. So I will wait and see what people say about it and whether it really enhances gameplay, but I just have so many games at this point. So I'm quite proud of myself that I did not back it, and I guess I will wait and see whether it feels like a must-have. But considering that I have owned this game since PAX Unplugged, the 2022 PAX Unplugged is where I bought this game, and I've only played it once since buying it, and I didn't even play with my own copy. I played with a friend's copy. So I really don't want to buy the expansion unless I think I'm going to play this game quite a bit. Like, I should try to avoid my completionist tendency. But if at any point I think I want to sell this game, then I may want the expansion just so I can sell a complete copy, but who knows. Anyway, so if you've played Planet Unknown, let me know if you think, if you back the expansion and why or why not. So let's move on. Let's talk about Sea Salt and Paper. This is a 2022 game for 2 to 4 players, designed by Bruno Cathala, Theo Riviere, and the art is done by Lucien Doreen and Pierre-Yves Gallard, and it's published by Bombex Games. So I did buy this from Board Game Bliss in Canada. I believe in the US it's going to be published by Pandasaurus. So this is a hand management set collection, push your luck kind of game. So the artwork in this game is just fantastic. So let me just show you the artwork. It's meant to look like origami. Now I do wonder whether it's just drawn to look like origami. I think it's probably just drawn. I don't think that they actually made origami and then took photos of it, but honestly, I do not know. So yeah, I really don't know. So I really like how the artwork in this game, it's like all different because like there's different colors, and then even if you have the same kind of card for the different colors, they're still going to be slightly different. Like these are 2 crab cards in 2 different colors. So that's an octopus, penguin. So some of these cards, mermaid, there's 4 mermaids in the game. Some of these cards are going to be action cards, whereas some of them are going to be like end game kind of set collection cards. So let's talk about how this game plays. So you're of course going to shuffle all of these cards, and then you're going to have a face down pile, and you're going to flip over 2 cards, which are going to be discards. So actually, I don't know if you actually start with 2 cards flipped over, or maybe you don't. Oh yeah, you do. So you do start with the first 2 cards flipped over to create the discard pile. So on your turn, you can either take the first 2 cards from the deck and keep one by adding it to your hand and then discarding one to one of the discard piles face up, or you can take a card on top of one of the 2 discard piles and add it to your hand. Then once you've done that, you can play duo cards. So duo cards are cards which, in order to do the action, you need to play them together. So for example, those would be the action cards. So for example, let's see, I'm just going to show you all of the different ones. Where is the shark? So here is a shark duo, for example. So if you happen to have a swimmer and a shark, you can play those as a duo. A swimmer and a shark, I believe, allows you to randomly choose a card from your opponent's hand. Yes, so oops, I'm on the French side of the rules. Yes, so this combination will give you 1 point. So once you play duo cards, it stays in front of you. So you'll get 1 point for each combination of swimmer and shark cards. And the effect that you get to do is you steal a random card from another player and add it to your hand. So that is what the shark swimmer duo does. The fish duo, so if you play 2 fish cards, oh wait, sorry, that's not a fish card. No, that is a fish card. Is that a fish card as well? Oh no, that's one of the end game scoring fish cards, sorry. Let me just find a regular fishy card. Where are you, fishy? Okay, here's a regular fishy card. So yeah, so here are fish cards. So if you play 2 fish cards together, you'll get 1 point for each pair of fish cards that you have at the end of the game. And the effect is that you get to add the top card from the deck to your hand. So that is the effect of playing fish cards. If you play a pair of boat cards, again, you'll get a point for each pair of boat cards. You get to immediately take another turn. If you play a pair of crab cards, you get to choose a discard pile, and without shuffling it, you get to choose a card from it to add to your hand, and you do not have to show that card to other players. So those are the different kinds of duo cards you can play. So crabs, boats, fish, and shark and swimmer duos. The other kinds of cards in this game are basically collector cards or point multiplier cards. So for example, these seashells, you would need multiples of them at the end of the game in order to score points. So for example, if you had, let's say, 3 of these seashell cards at the end of the game, you would get 4 points. So there's different kinds of collector cards. There's seashells, octopuses, octopi, penguins, and anchors. And then there are point multiplier cards. So for example, the one that I showed earlier by mistake, let's see if I can find a point multiplier card here. Bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. Why is it hard to find one now? Okay, well, I can't find one right now. But if you have a lighthouse, this one will give you 1 point per boat card, but it does not count as a boat card itself. If you have a shoal of fish, it would give you 1 point per fish card, but it does not count as a fish card itself. If you have a special penguin card, you will get 2 points per penguin card, but it does not count as a penguin card itself. And then if you have the captain card, you will get 3 points for each sailor card, but it does not count as a sailor card itself. There are special mermaid cards, which I'll explain in a minute what they do. So let me just talk about the end of the round and how you actually win this game. So in order to end the round, you have to have at least 7 points in your in total in order to trigger the end of the round. So if a player has reached 7 points or more by counting the points in their cards, both in their hand and in front of them, they can decide to end the round. If not, then it goes to, you know, to the next player's turn and so on. So if you decide to end the round, there are two ways to do this. You can either yell stop if you do not want to take a risk. So then in that case, all players reveal their hands and immediately score points on their cards. So you would reveal your hands, and if you had any other duos, you know, you'll get points for those. If you had the set collection cards, you'll get points for those and so on. If you decide to end the game by saying last chance, then this means that you are taking a bet that you have the most points at the end of the round. So the other players will each take a final turn if you say last chance. And then if the triggering player's hand is higher or equal to that of their opponents, they win the bet. So they get to score the points for their cards plus the color bonus, 1 point per card of the color they have the most of. Their opponents only score their color bonus. If the score is less than or of at least one opponent, then they lose the bet and they score only the color bonus, and the opponents score points for their cards. So you're just going to keep track of your points from round to round, and then at the end of the game, whoever has the most points will win. However, there are mermaid cards in this game. So mermaids, there's 4 mermaid cards. Where did the mermaid go? Here we go. So if a player has all 4 mermaids and places them, they immediately win the entire game, not just the round. So mermaid cards will allow you to score 1 point for each type of a color card that you have in your area in hand at the end of a round. So you can play mermaid cards even if you did not like win the round and still get the points for the colors if you have a mermaid card. So these mermaid cards are pretty powerful. They like get you extra points for colors, and if you happen to get all 4 of them, you could win the entire game immediately. So yeah, so it's a pretty cool set collection hand management game. I would say the theme has absolutely nothing to do with the way it actually plays, but the artwork is pretty cool. So you know, but the sea theme like just really doesn't have anything to do with it. I mean, you could have made this game having like cat artwork and said, oh, if you have Siamese cats, you get to do this, or if you have ragdoll cats, you get to do this. You know what I mean? The theme is pretty irrelevant. It's not like, you know, the cards and the actions you take have anything to do with what's actually depicted on them. But really cool artwork. Really love the artwork. I do want to try to pick up the small expansion that they have for this game. I believe it's called More Sea Salt in Paper or something like that. So it just adds a couple new cards to the game. If you are colorblind, it does come with this color sheet, which will help you to see what colors the different cards are, because again, you will need to know their colors, especially if you, you know, get the mermaid, or if someone ends it by saying last chance. So yeah, so that is Sea Salt and Paper, and I really like it, and it's a really great game to take to a cafe and play at a cafe or something like that. So yeah, I think you should check it out. So another game I played recently is Next Station Tokyo. So this is a 2023 game for 1 to 4 players, designed by Matthew Dunstan, and the art is done by Maxime Morin, and it's published by Blue Orange Games. This is a game I purchased myself. So this is similar to Next Station London, except, you know, it's just got a new map with different kinds of districts on it. So in this game, you are going to have this map of Tokyo, and again, you'll see the different kinds of districts, you know, within the different yellow sections. So there are more districts in this game, if I remember correctly. You know, it's going to just play a little bit similarly, but a little bit differently. Mostly similarly, a little bit differently. So in this game, you again are going to have a bunch of these cards. Don't let the colors confuse you. When I first played this, I misunderstood which colors you need to be mindful of that come out. That will trigger the end of the game, because I believe in London the colors are like pink, so I thought it was the pink cards, that once all the pink cards come out then the game end is triggered, but it's actually the green ones in this game. So once the 5th green card comes out, then the game end will be triggered. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 pink cards and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green cards. So you know, you are basically going to shuffle these cards and then reveal a card, and then, you know, you will be drawing you know, from the station to that symbol on your map, and each person starts with a different station. So there are 4 different colored stations in this game. So it comes with colored pencils. I do plan on laminating some of these sheets and using wet erase or dry erase markers. So there are 4 different colored lines in this game. There's pink, blue, brown, and purple. So depending on which pencil you have at the time, you are going to start from that station and try to connect to the symbol that is revealed. And you're going to keep on doing that until that round end is triggered by having the 5th green card revealed. And then you will score for that line, and then you'll move on to the next line. You're going to complete all 4 lines, so everyone will complete all 4 lines. You cannot intersect other lines, so you cannot cross other lines that you have drawn. You can always only draw from one end of the line or the other. You cannot, like, you know, draw from the middle of a line unless a special card comes up that allows you to do that, which is this card, I believe. No, maybe not that one. It's this one, sorry. It's this card. This card allows you to draw from the middle of a line. This one is different from the London game because it does have that one card, which I just showed you, which allows you to draw parallel to the existing green line on this map. So this map comes with an existing green subway line, and this card, if you draw this, will allow you to draw your line parallel to it from one station to another along the same like kind of route. Which typically you cannot do. So, you know, basically at the end of a round, you're going to see how many districts your line crossed and how many stations are there in the one with the most, and you're going to multiply those. With this one, there's also like different like tourist spots, I believe, or that you're trying to reach or something like that. We actually did not get to finish our entire game, so I did not finish the game, but there's something a little bit different in this game, I believe. And then of course, at the end of the game, you know, you will get multipliers for having certain stations with more lines coming out of them. So you want to try to have multiple stations that have multiple lines coming out of them because that will get you more points. So yeah, it's a nice fun little flip and write game. I will say that I really don't like the rule book for either this game or Next Station London. I feel like the rule book could be a lot better, and when you are just trying to find something, it can be really hard to find what you're looking for. I would just totally redo this rule book if I could. I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but like, you know, when me and my friend were playing, we were trying to find something and we just could not find it just because it was not in the section we expected it to be in. So would really like a different kind of a better rule book for this game, but oh well. So that is the gist of the game, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, so you can lose points in this game. So it says points lost by the green central loop line on your map of Tokyo. Count the number of stations in your green loop line that were not connected to any of your 4 subway lines. Multiply this number of stations by 3 and enter the total in the green box. These points will be deducted from your final score. So you want to try to connect the stations that are on the green loop line to your other lines as well. Otherwise, you will lose points. There are interchange station points. So I think that's what I was talking about before, that are stations connecting to 3, 4, or 5 subway lines for which you'll get more points. I think that's about it. I'm not sure what this section is. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm not sure what this box is supposed to represent. I really don't know. Stamps, tourist stamps collection. Identify all the districts that you have marked during the game on your tourist stamps collection mini map. Add up the values in the relevant areas and enter the total points in the blue box on your score line. Okay, so identify all the districts that you've marked during the game on your tourist stamps collection mini-map. So I guess as long as you made it to those certain districts, then you will get those extra points. So if you made it to the 4 tiny corner districts, you will get 10 points each for those. So that's different from London. In London, you had these like tourist stations that you would try to connect to, and you would just fill in a circle if you made it to those. But this one is just making sure you reach all of the different districts so that you will get some extra points that way. So that's how it differs from London, really. It's just a little bit different, but just a new map. I've never, still even with the London game, I have not even played with the advanced cards. So there's like different advanced cards that you can play with if you want, but I haven't done that for London yet either. I've played the London game solo a number of times. So yeah, so that is Next Station Tokyo. So if you like flip and writes, then this is a good one to check out, especially because it's a good game to play solo. So I plan on playing this solo quite a bit, like I'd have with Next Station London. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so another game that I had the chance to play recently is a game that I covered for its Kickstarter. So the copy of this game I own was given to me as part of my contract for covering the game for its Kickstarter, because they always include a production copy of the game. So that is Flamecraft. So this is a 2022 game for 1 to 5 players, designed by Manny Vega. The art is done by Sandra Tang, and it's published by Cardboard Alchemy. So this is a worker placement game with like different game bonuses, and it's also hand management and stuff like that. So I have the deluxe edition. So when you open it up, it will look like this, and there's going to be a cloth board, which is quite long. Actually, sorry, it's not cloth, it's neoprene. So you will see different areas of this board, of this town. It also includes like the score tracker and the different shops that you'll have placed. I'll put up a picture so you can see what it looks like. But you'll have like different kinds of shop cards and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into too much detail how to play, because I did do an overview video for this game, which will kind of explain how it plays. But basically, you are just moving around from shop to shop and trying to fulfill different contracts, or you're trying to, like, you know, gain resources from the shop and place different cards there and stuff in order to, you know, just use different abilities. So it's basically like a resource management game as well. So basically so this edition comes with these dragon miniatures. So for example, like these different dragon miniatures, which are quite nice. Otherwise you would have, I believe, just these dragon meeples, which I actually used as my score marker. So I didn't realize that underneath these dragons were the actual score markers. So when I played with my friend, we actually used these dragons as our score markers, which I thought actually worked out nicer anyway. It just kind of looked cooler having these smaller dragons go along the score track rather than just some score tokens. So it kind of worked out nicely that way. But underneath those wooden dragons, there are score trackers. Anyway, so you're going to have these different kinds of resources. You'll see like there's meat, there's iron, there's diamonds, bread, leaves, I guess, and potions. This one comes with metal coins. The metal coins are quite nice. Really love the way those feel. What else? Okay, so let me show you the different kinds of cards. So there's different kinds of dragon cards. And different kinds. So you have these different dragon cards. So you're going to have a hand that's going to include some dragon cards, and on your turn you're going to go to a different shop, and once you go to a shop you will collect the resources that are available in that shop. So for example, if I go to this shop, I would get a bread token. And then if there's dragons beneath it, I would also get to collect the icons, the resources of the dragons that are below that. So then what I can do once I go to a shop after collecting my resources, if there's a special action on that shop, I can take the special action. Actually, I think that comes at the end. So gather, you will get the goods that are listed, then you can place a dragon there and gain the reward. Sorry, so that's what's next. So if you want, you can place a dragon. It has to match the icon that is showing in one of those slots. If you do, then you will get the resource shown. So this is this is a starter shop, so it's going to have a starter dragon that will be in it. But if you wanted to place a dragon here, it would have to be a potions dragon, because that's the potion symbol. And if you do, you would get to collect a fancy dragon as your reward. This is the wild symbol, so any dragon can go here, and you will get a coin if you place a dragon there. Then after doing that, you can activate one of the dragons. So you fire up one of the dragons. So the dragons have different abilities. So you can fire up a dragon ability. And then after that, you can use the shop ability if there is a shop ability. So in this case, there is a shop ability which says 1 heart can equal 2 bread or something like that. I don't even know what that means, but it looks like there's a shop ability of some kind there. So yeah, so you can do that. So that is the gather ability. So that's one of the things you can do on your turn, or you can enchant. You go and take an enchantment card that you have. Well, you don't actually have them, they're actually on the board. So if you've met the resources for them, so let me find some enchantment cards here. So here's an enchantment card, for example. So they're going to be laid out for everyone to see. And if you want to enchant, you will pick up the enchantment card for which you have met the required resources, and you will turn it in. So you have to go to a shop that matches this icon. So you will first go to the diamond shop, and then you will turn in 2 potions and 3 leaves. And as a result, you will get 4 points, and you'll get to draw 1 dragon from the park. So when you draw a dragon, you can take a face-up dragon that is there, or you can draw blindly from the deck that is there. The game end is triggered once the dragon deck runs out or the enchantment deck runs out, that you can't refill the area again. So you can't refill the enchantment cards, or you can't refill the park with the dragons again. So that's when the game end is triggered. So those are the 2 things you can do on a turn. You can either gather or you can enchant. And then if the shop is filled with dragons at the end of your turn, you will flip over a new shop and add it to the town, and so on. So that's really how it plays. There are some fancy dragons. Let me just show you a fancy dragon. So each player starts with a fancy dragon, and you can earn more fancy dragons throughout the game. So these will give you either end game points, or they will give you points throughout the game. So if there's a sun symbol, that means it's to be played during the game, but if there's a moon, then it's the end of the game. So those are fancy dragons. So yeah, so you're just going to be getting points throughout the game, and then at the end of the game you can get points from fancy dragons, and then of course whoever has the most points wins. It's a pretty basic worker placement game. I would say it's a really great game to introduce new players to worker placement too. So if you have friends who don't play Euro games, but you really want to introduce them to Euro games, this is a really great way to do that, because they are, it's a pretty simple game to play. It's pretty easy to explain and pretty easy to understand, and your player guide will always have everything on it for you to understand. So it's really, the components are really fantastic as well. It's just a really pretty game and just really easy to explain and understand. So I think, if you want to play this game, it's really good for introducing new players to, which is actually what I did. So I introduced a new player, a new person to this game who has not played any Euro games before, and he picked it up pretty well. And in fact, he won actually. So he actually won by a fair bit. So yeah, so definitely check out this game if you want to introduce people to worker placement games who may not be familiar with board games otherwise. So yeah, I really enjoyed my play of this, and I absolutely love the production quality. It's fantastic. I think as a seasoned gamer, it's a game that I could see myself growing, maybe tired of it if I played it too much. So it's one of those games I want to keep in my collection because the production quality is amazing, the artwork is amazing. I love the whole concept of visiting different shops and firing up dragons. So it's a game I'm not going to play often because I want to keep it in my collection and I want to enjoy it whenever I do play it. So yeah, so that is Flamecraft. So definitely check out Flamecraft. So another game I had the chance to play recently, I actually do not own, so I will just show pictures of it, is Great Western Trail, the 2nd edition, which came out in 2021. This is for 1 to 4 players, designed by Alexander Pfister, and the art is done by Chris Williams, and it's published by Spiel Games. So yes, so this is a deck building game. It's got hand management, I would say maybe some kind of route building a little bit, I would say, because, I'll explain why I think that, but it's actually not listed as a mechanism or anything like that. But I feel like it's a little bit route building, but kind of for yourself, maybe. So in this game, you're going to have some cattle cards. I'm pretty sure everyone has played this except for me. So this was my first time ever playing Great Western Trail. I'd never played a game of Great Western Trail before. So my friend introduced it to me. But the reason I say I feel like there's a little bit of route building, but not route building in the sense that you think, but more like each player has certain buildings with different actions on them that you can place out on the already created routes so that you can maybe create a path for yourself, because you kind of want to do that because there's only so many paths you can take in this game to start from one section of the board to get to the top where you can then actually trade in cattle for points and stuff like that. So let me just actually read the overview of the game so you get a sense of what you're doing. So it says, America in the 19th century, you are a rancher and repeatedly herd your cattle from Texas to Kansas City, where you send them off by train. This earns you money and victory points. Needless to say, each time you arrive in Kansas City, you want to have your most valuable cattle in tow. However, the Great Western Trail not only requires that you keep your herd in good shape, but also that you wisely use the various buildings along the trail. Also, it might be a good idea to hire capable staff, cowboys to improve your herd, craftsmen to build your very own buildings, or engineers to improve engineers for the important railroad line. If you cleverly manage your herd and navigate the opportunities and pitfalls of the Great Western Trail, you surely will gain the most victory points and win the game. So yeah, so you have these different routes that you can take that have spaces for buildings on them. So if you are able to build a building, which you can only do if you go to a certain tile and you have the money that you need in order to build buildings, and you have to have a certain number of workers also available, so the craftsmen that they reference, then you can build certain buildings along the way. If you do not build your own buildings, you're going to have fewer spots to go to. So that's one of the reasons I kind of say it's almost like a route building game, because if you place out more buildings, you're going to have more places to go to. And sometimes if you pass over another person's building, you may even have to pay them a tax, like a coin, in order to pass through their building. And you can't use other players' buildings. I kept on stopping on another player's building in the game I played and kept on realizing, oh wait, I can't use this building. I can't use this building. So you need to put out your own buildings. But of course, there's only a limited number of spaces on the board for you to do that. So if you take, again, this was only my first time playing it, but apparently there are different kinds of strategies you can use in this game. Like you can go the cowboy strategy and try to get more cows and improve your cattle, and the cows you acquire will have victory points on them as well. Your starting cows do not have victory points on them, and again, you're trying to get to the other part of the board where you then trade in your cattle for money. So you're also trying to get money in this game so that you can build buildings and hire more people as well. The train route, neither me nor my opponent did the train route in the game we played. My opponent, I feel like, was focusing more on the building part of the game, but apparently you can go the train route and get really far on the railroad track. The way the railroad track works is if your train is not ahead of the city that you want to give the cattle to, then you have to pay a cost in order to trade in those cattle, basically, into that city. So you want to try to keep your train equal to or ahead of the cities in which you want to trade in cattle and stuff, or place certain tokens, I believe, or something like that. I think that's only for the tokens, sorry. So you can remove certain tokens from your board to unlock new abilities or new points and things like that. But in order to do that, you need to, you'll have to pay in order to do that if your train is behind the city in which you're going to do that. So I went the cowboy strategy. So I ended up getting a lot of cowboys, mostly because my opponent kept on getting the workers, the construction people that I wanted. So I ended up doing the cowboy strategy, which helped, honestly, because when you trade in cattle, once you get to Kansas City, you need different cattle. The more different cattle you have, the more money you will get. So that is good. And of course, the different cattle are worth different amounts of points at the end of the game as well. So it's just a game in which you are just traveling along with your cowboy, doing the different actions of the tiles you land on, and then, hopefully trading in cattle in Kansas City, and then, advancing on this railroad track. I didn't advance very far on the railroad track, to be honest, and then just unlocking different areas of your player board. I won the game by 1 point. I think the reason I won by 1 point is because it was my first time playing. So sometimes I would ask my friend like, oh, you know, do you recommend I do this or do you recommend I do that? Like if I had like a choice between two things and I wasn't sure. Usually I would go with what I thought I should do anyway, which he also thought is the thing I should do anyway. So, you know, usually I would be like, okay, I have the opportunity to get some new cattle, so I'll do that. I think the cattle really helped me in the end. I'm just having a whole variety of different kinds of cattle type. Yeah, but I never actually ended up discarding any cards, like trashing any cards, that is. I never actually ended up doing that. So yeah, it's a good game. It's actually rated 8.4 MBGG. Having played it once now, I don't feel like it's a game I need to add to my collection, but if given the opportunity to play it again, I probably would. It's not a game that I would probably want to play many times, but I think it would be fun to play again, or at least 1 or 2 more times, just so I could maybe try a different strategy in future games and see how those work. Kind of an embarrassing fact. So I was really tired on the night we played this, and my friend had been mentioning Great Western Trail Argentina. So as we're playing the game, I thought we were playing Great Western Trail Argentina, even though there are all these American cities at the top of the board, like Chicago and I don't know, New York, you know, Kansas City, whatever. So there's all these American cities at the top of the board. And here I am still thinking that we're playing the Argentina game because he had mentioned it a couple of times earlier in the night. So yeah, it's only at the end when we're putting away the game that I realized that, oh, this was just the regular Great Western Trail. It was not Argentina. So yeah, so that's just a little embarrassing fact for you guys. But yeah, it was a good game. I think I would like to try out the Argentina version or one of the other versions at some point and just see what those play like as well. I don't own any of them, so if my friend has them, then I will definitely be willing to try them out. So yeah, so let me know if you've played Great Western Trail and which versions of this game you have played and which one is your favorite. So if you've played all of them, please let me know which one is your favorite and why, and I will try to play that one then. Okay, so let's move on. So another game I played recently, which I do not own, is called Diamonds from 2014. So this is a trick-taking game for 2 to 6 players designed by Mike Fitzgerald, and the art is done by William Bricker and Daniel Solis, and it's published by Stronghold Games. So in this game, you're going to have like a deck of cards. The deck of cards, you know, it's the 4 different suits. So you have like spades, clovers, whatever you call them, diamonds, hearts, and it goes up to 15 though. So it does not go up to 10, and then it doesn't have like Jack, King, and Queen. It instead goes up to 15. So in this game, you are basically trying to collect these diamonds. So there's like each player has a vault, so you're going to have a player screen which hides certain diamonds behind your screen in your vault, and then each player has a showroom, which is what is in front of them. So, you know, of course the starting player is going to play a card, and that determines the suit of that round. And then, you know, each player, I believe, I don't know how many cards, you're basically dealing out all the cards, I think. I don't remember, in the game that we played, it was a 6-player game, I think we played. And in that case, I think you dealt out all of the cards, so there was like no hidden information. So there wasn't like a stack of cards somewhere in which you didn't know what existed. So you knew that someone always had the 15 in each suit, and so on. So you're trying to follow suit, just like a regular trick-taking game, but if you cannot follow suit, then you get to do the action of the suit that you just played. So different cards allow you to do different things. I can't remember exactly what each card allowed, but for example, one card may allow you to steal a diamond from someone's showroom. Another suit may allow you to take a diamond from the supply and add it to your showroom. Another suit may allow you to take a diamond from the supply and add it to your vault. The reason you want diamonds in your vaults is because those are worth more points at the end of the game. So at the end of the game, like after the entire game has been played multiple rounds, you are going to see who has the most points. And diamonds in your vault are worth 2 points, whereas diamonds in your showroom are worth 1 point. So yeah, so you're basically, it's a trick-taking game, but you're, you know, just kind of trying to, at times, if you don't win a trick at all in a round, you actually get to take I think you get to collect 2 diamonds and add them to your vault, if I remember correctly. So not winning any tricks can be better than, say, winning 1 trick, because at the end of a round, you're going to see who has the most cards from a certain suit, and they will get to take the action of that suit. So it's not necessarily advantageous to win I mean, I guess it's advantageous if you can win every trick and then you get to do all of the actions of all of the suits. But like, for example, if you think that you can't win something, then it would probably be better in some instances to not win any tricks than to win a certain trick and then not have enough cards to win the suit majority at the end of the round. So yeah, so at the end of the round, you're going to see who has the suit majority, like how many cards each person has in their own hand, and then they get to do that action. So in the game we played, it was a 6-player game, so we played 6 rounds so that each person had a chance to deal. And then at the end of the game, you add up all the values of your diamonds that you have in your vault and in your showroom, and then whoever has the most points wins. So it's a pretty, you know, it seems like a very classic game. Like, you know, you play it with like a regular deck of cards that goes up to 15, and you know, it seems like a very classic kind of game. Like when we were playing it, I actually thought it was maybe some classic game that I'd never played, but it actually came out in 2014. So yeah, if you like trick-taking games, I think that this is a good one to check out, and I would check it out if you are into games like that. I enjoyed it. So yeah, so check out Diamonds. The next 2 games that I'm going to talk about, I will talk about briefly. So I played two-player games of Dandelions. So Dandelions is a 2022 game for 2 to 3 players designed by Takashi Sakaoi, and the art is done by Anka Gavril and Daniel Profiri, and it's published by Board Game Tables, now known as All Play. So this is a area majority influence dice rolling game. So just briefly, each player is going to have dice of a certain color, and you know, in their supply at the beginning of the round, each player is going to roll all of the dice that they have. You are going to have this, you know, a flower formed from these different tiles. So, you know, you'll have different tiles with different numbers on them, with a different number of spaces on them. So you're going to be starting the game at the tile that is numbered 1 on the start player token spot or pawn spot. So each player has a pawn in a different color. And on your turn, you're basically going to take a die and from your supply that you already rolled and move that number of spaces with your pawn and then land in one of these sections. Now, if you land on a spot where another pawn already exists, then you can move that number of spaces again until you land somewhere where there is no one. Then you place your die into that section. If you place a die into that section that already has another player's color die with the same number on it, then you pick up those dice that have the same number on it that you just placed and move them into one adjacent area, so to the left or to the right of that. And so basically everyone's going to do this until the game is over, until all the dice have been placed. If at any point your pawn lands on the starting player spot, then you can just re-roll all of your dice that you have left in your supply. So the game ends once all of the dice have been placed. Then the way that scoring happens is interesting. So scoring, you have a seed score and a sprout score. So the seed score, you are going to have the pip sum of players with most dice. So the player who has the most dice in a certain location will get to add their pips for that location and get scored in that location. The sprout score is that you're going to count the number of dice times the value of the garden. So as I mentioned, different gardens have different values on them. So the highest value is 8. So if you had, for example, 2 dice in the 8 garden, that would be 16 points. So that is what a sprout score is. You're going to take the number of dice you have in a location and multiply it by the value of the garden. But the seed score is that you get to add the pips if you were the player with the most dice in that location. If there's a tie, then the one with the fewest pips would win the tie. That's what it says. So they would get to add their score, add their pips and get points for it. Yeah, the tie with the lowest sum of pips on their dice scores. If there's still a tie, then all players score. Okay. So that is that. And then you add up your seed and sprout scores for each garden, and then whoever has the most points wins. So it's an interesting kind of strategic game in which you kind of, you know, want to, have the most dice in the higher numbered gardens, but then you're also mindful of, you know, the seed score and trying to have the most dice in all the locations, or as many of the locations as you can, because the pips are going to count. So if you have a lot of dice with 6 pips on them, then you may want to focus more on seed score than sprout score even. So it's, you know, kind of like a fun little strategy game in which you are trying to decide what's going to be better for you, sprout or seed, and then, you know, take your actions based on that. But of course there is an element of luck as well, because, you know, you're all gonna roll differently when you roll your dice at the beginning of each round. So you may end up with like very low sum dice, low pip dice, in which case you probably want to focus on sprout scoring if your dice values are not that great. So I like that, that you kind of can focus on one thing or another depending on how you rolled. So that's, I think, pretty good that you can kind of do that. Yeah, so that was Dandelions. So I played 2 games of this recently. I did play it with someone who is not a board gamer, so this was very new to him, but he actually did really well in the 2 games we played, so that was good. And then of course I played another game of Zuuli recently. I believe I played a 5-player game of this, or was it a 4? Yeah, 5-player game of this recently. So yeah, so I've talked about Zuuli at length before, so I'm not going to go into it, but it seemed like everyone enjoyed it. I won, but I think it's because, you know, I've played it a number of times, so I'm pretty good at the strategy of this game. But yeah, it's a really fun card game, set collection game. It's a, you know, pick and pass game. Yes, pick and pass game. You know, so if you like pick and pass games and set collection games, if you enjoy Sushi Go, then maybe check out Zuuli, because it is a lot fiercer than Sushi Go. So finally, I think I have made it through all of the games I played. So let's move on. Let's move on to games that I am backing. So I am backing a couple of games actually. So the first one I will mention is Mistwind, which I think I talked about before. I've talked about this in my last video. So it's a game published, designed by, what's his name? Adam? Why do I want to call him Adam Adamskew? That doesn't sound right. What is his name? I can't remember his name, but he's a good designer. I like his other game, Speakeasy Blues. Daryl Andrews and Adrian Adamskew. Okay, Adrian, not Adam Adamskew. That would be funny though, if his name was Adam Adamskew. Okay, so Adrian Adamskew and Daryl Andrews. So Mistwind is currently at $203,606. So it's got over 2,500 backers as we speak, and it has 5 days to go. So I am backing that, and I'm super excited for this game because, again, as I mentioned, I really liked Speakeasy Blues, which is another game that these 2 designers did together. I'm not a huge fan of Sagrada. I think Sagrada is fine, you know, but I have Runica and the Six-Sided Spellbooks, which I prefer to Sagrada, which is a very similar kind of game. So that's why I really don't care for Sagrada. But yeah, actually I do own Sagrada. Maybe I should just call it from my collection then. Yeah, I should probably do that. Okay, so the next game I am backing. So this one, I'm not sure if I should keep my pledge or not. I may reach out to the publisher at some point and see if I can get a review copy instead, since I am pretty tight on money. I don't know. That is Perch. I guess I'll have to see if there's any Kickstarter like bonuses or something that I would be missing out on if I don't back it. But yeah, so Perch is on Kickstarter from Inside Up Games, and I do enjoy a lot of their, well, some of their other games. I haven't played a lot of their games. They did City Building or City Builder, which I really like, which is a really great game if you haven't played City Builder. And of course they did Earth, which I really like. And then I also discussed their game Block and Key, which I played recently, which I also liked. So Perch looks really good. So I'm currently backing that. And that has 10 days to go. So that is currently at 2,603 backers. So it's already made $101,227. So Perch looks pretty cool. It's like you get to place birds. I think it's kind of like an area control game, but you can also place other people's birds and stack them, which is pretty cool. And I love birds. So yeah, it just looks really, really cool. I'm not sure that there are any Kickstarter exclusives. Let me see. I don't know. There are stretch goals, but I don't know if there's any Kickstarter exclusives. Okay, yeah, it says why back now? Kickstarter gift for all backers of the game. Best price will offer early delivery. But of course you have to pay for shipping if you back it on Kickstarter. So there is that, if you don't get it from your local game store. So yeah. So I'm backing Perch, and then finally I am backing at the $1 level favor Gods of Oethera, which is a game I had covered for its Kickstarter. And if you watched my weekly playback in which I discussed this game, you would know that all the players and I really enjoy this game. Like, we had a lot of fun while playing it, and it's already funded. So it's made, it's just over its funding goal of $15,000. So it's got 92 backers and it has 18 days to go. So this is a tile exploration game with action points that you can use, and you're trying to like uncover different things and then make offerings to the gods and stuff, and you're trying to get to a certain number of points first in order to win this game. But the way in which you get points, you know, there's a few different ways in which you can get points in this game. So I had played a 6-player game of this. It goes up to 6 players, and we had a lot of fun while playing it. So I'm backing this at the $1 level so that I can get my production copy of it. So those are the games that I am currently backing. So let's move on to games that I have received. So I am shooting this video on a Saturday, but I can show you the inside of this box because the embargo for unboxings will be lifted by then. And I'm publishing this video on the day in which the unboxing embargo will be lifted. And that is the White Castle from De Vere Games. This is a new game from the same designers of The Red Cathedral, which was published by De Vere Games. The Red Cathedral is a game that I had purchased myself, but absolutely loved, and I played it so many times in the year that I had bought it. So when I learned that the designers were coming out with a new game with a Japan theme, I of course absolutely had to have it. So I was sent a review copy by De Vere Games, and I am so freaking excited to play this game. So let me show you what is inside, because I am allowed to show you since I will be publishing this video on August 28th. This game is an Essen release, so it will be available at Spiel Essen in Germany, which is in October. So here are the player pieces for green player. So as you can see, there's like a bunch of different kinds of meeples, like they look a little bit different. Like, some of them are holding swords. One of them looks like he's holding some kind of a lantern or something. I don't know what that is. Let me try to show you so I can show you better. And then it looks like there's some kind of a bird, which I'm guessing is maybe, I'm not too familiar with Japanese birds, but maybe that's an ibis, I think. So here is one of the meeples holding a sword. So there's multiple meeples, of course. And then there's this one. I'm not sure what that is, maybe a lamp or something. And then there's one that is not holding anything. So each player gets a bunch of different meeples of the different kinds that I just showed. And then some cubes, and then like scoring markers and stuff like that. So that is what each player has. So the different player colors, let me just show you the different player colors. So you've got green, yellow, blue, and red. These bags are bags that I have purchased myself, so I always buy these high quality plastic bags in order to rebag my games and stuff. I believe that this game did come with some bags that you could use, but I don't recall now, to be honest, so don't quote me on that. So it comes with 3 different bridges that you have to assemble out of cardboard. Once you assemble them, I feel like they're pretty sturdy, that they won't come apart, and I do not intend on taking them apart, so you have to be very careful about how you place everything in this box in order to make it fit. So if you want everything to fit in this box, you have to really figure out the best way to do that, which I did figure out, and that's why I keep all of my players' meeples flat like this so that I can pack it better into the box. So you have 3 different bridges, a red one, a black one, and a white one. You've got this really cool thingy. Check that out. Okay, no, my camera quality is not the best, but there is, sorry, here's the side with screen printing. There we go. Okay, that's much better. I thought both sides had screen printing, but no. So this side has screen printing on it, which is really nice. So that looks like a fish. You have dice, because again, this is a dice placement game, just like the Red Cathedral was. This game does come with a promo, the White Castle promo, but I won't show that yet. So each player is going to have a board that looks like this. There are some cube tokens, some various kinds of square cardboard tokens rather. There are these circle cardboard tokens. There are tokens that look like this in different colors, like yellow on one side, blue on another. Here is the money. So again, Japan. So you've got the money with the holes in them, which is pretty cool. Cardboard. And here is the game board. Why am I struggling with this right now? Okay, here we go. Okay, almost there. There we go. And I hope it's right side up. No, it does not look like it's right side up. Okay, here we go. So this is the game board. So this is, of course, bigger than the Red Cathedral. So the Red Cathedral did not have a board that was this big, but it is so pretty. I love like Japan themed games. I've actually been reading some Japanese fiction lately. So the book that I finished most recently was called If Cats Disappeared from the World. So it's a book written by a Japanese author that was translated into English, and it was very good. And I have a couple other books that I bought which are also written by Japanese authors, which I intend on reading soon. Okay, so here are some different cards in the game. So again, I have not yet played this game, so I cannot tell you how it plays yet. All I know that it is a dice placement game again. So the backs of the cards, different colors. Okay, so those are some of the cards, and then here are some more of the cards. And I do believe that this game has a solo mode, just like the Red Cathedral did. And again, different backs. So yeah, so I am super excited to play this just because I absolutely loved the Red Cathedral. I thought it was so good. I will admit I was not a fan of the artwork in the Red Cathedral, which is why it took me so long to actually get around to getting the game and playing it. So as I mentioned already, I had purchased the Red Cathedral on my own, and the reason that I had stayed away from the game for so long was because of the artwork. But once I started playing the game, and because I loved the game so much and how it played, the artwork actually grew on me. So the artwork in the Red Cathedral ended up growing on me, and I ended up like really loving the game. So yeah, but this artwork I already love from the beginning, which is great. So I hope that I will also love how it plays, and I'm sure I will because it's from the same designers, and so I feel like I'm kind of predisposed to loving it, but you know, we'll see. So I'm gonna play it and then give you guys my opinion and review of the game after I've had a chance to play it. But yeah, super excited for the White Castle from De Beer Games. So again, this will be released at Essen, and it is designed by Shay S and Isra C, and the art is done by Joan Guardier. Yeah. So that is the White Castle. So stay tuned for my thoughts on this game when I get to play it. So let's move on to the next games. So I received my production copy of Cosmoctopus. So this was a game that I had covered for its Kickstarter. And of course, as I've mentioned numerous times, that I always include a production copy of the game as part of my fee for covering a game for its Kickstarter. So I'm super excited to have Cosmoctopus. It's a game that I had played a number of times actually with the prototype copy that I had. But this is of course much nicer. I mean, it's even got artwork on the inside of the box, and it even has spot gloss on the inside. Wow. That's crazy. I don't think, have I ever seen a game box with spot gloss on the inside? I'm not actually sure if I have. And then here is the inside of the box. So we have got different cards. So let me just show you some of the cards. I won't show you all of them, but let me just show you some of them. So I will say I'm not a huge fan of the material of the cards because it's like got that very papery feel to it. I mean, the thickness is nice, the thickness of the cards is nice, but it kind of has that papery feel to it, which kind of makes me want to sleeve all of them. But there are so many cards, and I'm like, how many times, like, how many games should I sleeve? Like, I don't know. But yeah, so I do wish that the card quality was more glossy than papery, but maybe it just fits the whole aesthetic of this game. I don't know. So Cosmo is very nice. Cosmo the octopus. So the components in this are way nicer than the screen, than the 3D printed ones in the prototype. So we've got our octopus. He's very cute. Oh, I should have had the plush here to show you guys as well, because I did receive the plush as well. But yeah, the plush just basically looks like him. It's like basically an octopus plush. So on the inside of the box, you'll see that it comes with like these inserts. It comes with this tray. I think the tray is meant to hold all of the tentacles, but I just have all the tentacles bagged up because I just don't want them like going all over the place basically. And then there is this tray to hold the various components, the resources in this game. And it comes with a really cool sticker sheet. I really like these stickers. I don't know what I'll use them for, but they're pretty cool. I like them. I'm gonna have to save the Cosmo sticker for something special since there's only one of him. I really like that like mechanical bird. That is pretty cool too. I wonder if these stickers like represent different things from different games of theirs. I don't know. Oh, actually there's mini Cosmo stickers too, so that's cool. The rule book. Comes with some kind of a comic, which is pretty cool. I have not read it. And then of course the tiles, which I have not yet punched out. And here is the bottom of the box, which is so cool. Oh my god. So that is also UV spot gloss. That is very nice. Again, I don't think I've ever seen a box with UV spot gloss on the inside. Okay, the side of the box. Oh, that is so cool. That is really nice. Oh, wow. Okay, I did not look at all the sides before. Wow, look at that. Oh, that is really cool. This is so nice. Now I'm trying to decide which side is my favorite. Wow. Huh. I don't know which side is my favorite. They're all so great. I don't know. Maybe this side. I really like this side. It's either this side or this side. I really like those. Yeah, that is very cool. So yeah, so those are all the tiles that I need to punch out. So yeah, if you want to know how this game plays, I'll link my overview video for this below, in which I basically go over the entire game in just like a minute or two. So yeah. So that is Cosmoctopus, which arrived. So I'm super excited to play with my production copy, but have not decided. I don't think I'll sleeve the cards. I don't think I'm probably going to play it enough in order to justify sleeving the cards. Oh, I forgot to put the stickers underneath. Oops. So I probably will not sleeve them. But again, I feel like the paper material will kind of make it hard to shuffle them. I do want to show you these tokens, which came with the game as well, which I forgot to show. So it comes with these tokens, which I think, if I remember correctly, are for the solo mode. I do not recall ever playing with these. So yeah. So I think those are for the solo mode. Oh, you know what I don't see? I don't see... Oh, that's probably in the cardboard punch out. So there were those like multiplier things. That's probably in the cardboard punch out. So I also want to show you the enamel pin that it came with. So it did come with an enamel pin. So it's really tiny, but it's cute. Yeah, it's a cute little enamel pin. Yeah. It's sparkly, it's cute. So yeah, came with that as well. So that is Cosmoctopus. So my production copy for that arrived. Another game that arrived recently is a game that I backed on Kickstarter, which is Zoo Vadis. So this is a re-implementation of one of Rainer Knizia's games, and I backed the deluxe edition. So I am super excited to play this. It's got a nice rule book, which, you know, the paper quality is really nice and everything. Here is the game board. So the game board is double-sided. I am super eager to play this game. I believe it is a negotiation game, so I will need to find people who enjoy negotiation games to play this with. So I did add on the bags to hold the various components. So this is the peacock bag, and then inside the peacock bag you have a couple of these peacock tokens. And then this one is the crocodiles. Super cool, screen printed on both sides, and you can see that these are really big, so that's really nice. We've got the rhino. I think it's kind of crazy that they did not make an elephant one. We've got ibises. I like the ibis. I think he looks pretty cool, or she, I don't know. We've got tigers. The tigers are pretty cool too. Oh, sorry, are these tigers? I can't tell if these are tigers or no, sorry, this is hyena. This one's the hyena, not yet the tiger. So again, screen printed on both sides. Here's the tiger, sorry. Yeah, the tigers are pretty cool. Really like the blue color. It's really pretty. It's like a royal blue, I think. And then we've got armadillos. So again, oh, sorry, each player also comes with like these tokens, but I didn't show you the others, but let me show you the armadillo. Armadillo is pretty cool too. I am seriously just loving all of these colors, to be honest. I think all of the colors are just amazing. And finally the marmoset, which I think it's called a marmoset. It's like some kind of a monkey, I think. Super cute, it's purple. But again, no elephants in this game, which is such a shame. So, and then inside this bag, which I think, you know, this is not an add-on, this came with the game. There's a bunch of these like different kinds of tokens, but all very nice quality. And then the one tokens I just put into a separate bag because you keep those out of these so you don't mix them together. And then these player screens are so nice. So these player screens are like really good cardboard quality. So each player, you'll get to see like the animal, who they are. So all the other players can see what you're playing as. And then each player will have like a little description of their animal, which is so freaking cool. Like the quality in this is just freaking amazing. Just really love it. Absolutely love it. But again, no elephants, just sad. So yeah, I really want to play this. I wonder if all the players have different unique abilities. I don't know. But yeah, but it looks like, you know, all the actions and stuff are pretty much the same. Maybe they do have different abilities. Like for example, this one for the armadillo or the ibis, it says dig. And then this one, oh no, maybe they're all the same. Because this one says allow an animal to advance through a tunnel without majority support. And then this one says the same as well, but they're in different locations for some reason, which is weird. So I don't know why they're in different locations. That's bizarre. I don't know. I will need to read the rulebook and figure that out, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, so the quality is fantastic and I just cannot wait to play this. I just seriously want to play this game, but I think even though it says for 2 to 5 players, I think 3 to 7 players. Oh, never mind. So you can't even play it at 2 players. So 3 to 7 players, never mind. So yeah, so I think you need at least 3 players. I mean, you have to have at least 3 players. But I'm assuming the more players, the better. But I will have to check BGG and see what like the ideal player count is that people have selected. But yeah, so I guess I cannot play this anytime soon unless I find at least a couple people who like negotiation games. And negotiation games are those kinds of games that I feel like some people either love them or hate them. Like I suck at negotiating in negotiation games, which I know might seem weird for an attorney, but yeah, I'm not very good at negotiating in negotiating games. So I feel like I'm much better at it when it's, you know, comes to my actual job. So, but yeah, I really want to play this soon. It just looks so freaking good and I'm just so excited to play this. So I really hope I will get the chance soon. I just need to find at least 2 other players who are willing to play this with me. So yeah, so that is Zoo Vadis. And now let's move on to 2 other games. So I already showed you guys Next Station Tokyo, which I purchased recently, and then I also purchased Sea Salt and Paper. So I bought those 2 games from Board Game Bliss. So now I will show you 2 review copies that I received from 25th Century Games. The first one I'll show you is Fika, or is it pronounced Fika? I'm not sure. So this is the Clever Coffee Break. It's designed by Peter Van Gompel and the art is done by Beth Sobel, and it's for 2 players. So this is a 2-player game. So I must admit that I've never been a fan of Beth Sobel's artwork, but in this game it's not terrible. So I actually kind of like the artwork in this game. Yeah, because it's just like coffee and like teas and different treats and stuff. So yeah, so the artwork is actually pretty nice in this game. I like it. So yeah, from reviews I read on this game online, like very mixed reviews. Like some people seem to love it and some people just seem to really hate it. So I do want to play this soon. I don't know if this is the kind of game that I would have to play with someone who's definitely a board gamer. But yeah, it seems like that there's a lot of take that in this game, which has been a turnoff to a lot of people, and it just comes with 3 different tokens. So it is I believe it's a trick-taking game, kind of, with different suits. So yeah. So what does it say here? Clever coffee break. So game overview. So it's played over several rounds in which you choose cards and place them in your cafe, aiming to fulfill the objectives on your cards. At the end of each round, you earn the coins shown on the cards for each objective you have completed. Whoever earns the most coins wins the round. The first player to win 2 rounds wins the game. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing Fika or Fika, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, and then Junk Drawer, which has gotten pretty good reviews on BGG. So Junk Drawer is designed by David Smith, and the art is done by Asha Farmer, or is it done by Sebastian Koziner? I really cannot tell. There's like a couple of different names there, so I can't tell who's who. So this is for 1 to 4 players. So you get to organize your messy junk drawer. So there's a bunch of different junk pieces. I just organize them into like, because I believe when you play, you have to just organize them into stacks of their type. So I thought I would just organize them into bags, and these bags came with the game. So I organized them of 3 per type in a bag. 3 types in a bag, I mean, and there's 4 pieces of each type. And then there's different cards. So goal cards, as you can see. So here's an example of a medium one. Score 4 points. Score 4 points per differently sized item. Number of spaces it covers. So different kinds of goal cards. What is this? Item cards or something? I don't know what item cards do, but there's just a bunch of different item cards, and these are the kinds of items that you will actually find and that you're going to be placing into your junk drawer. So maybe you shuffle these, and then maybe you figure out which item you're supposed to place once you draw them. So the gold cards will go on this board, and then each person is going to have their junk drawer, which is split up into 4 different compartments, which is pretty cool. And they're like divided by color, so I don't know what that means yet because I haven't played it yet. But each person is gonna have a junk drawer, and I like how this like looks like a drawer itself, so that's pretty cool. And then I believe that this is just a score sheet. So yeah, so this arrived from 25th Century Games. So again, this and Fika are both review copies. So I'm looking forward to playing junk drawer because it's gotten pretty good reviews on BGG. So let's move on to updates. So updates. The first update is one that I'm super excited to give. So it kind of happened very quickly, but I'm going to Essen, my first ever Spiel Essen this year in October. So I'm in a bunch of different Facebook groups, board game groups on Facebook. And one of the groups I'm in is like a UK board gaming group since I go to UKGE. And one of the UK publishers who I've done videos for before, Dronda Games, announced that they were looking for volunteers. And if you volunteer and work for them, they would cover your accommodations and entrance into the exhibition. In which case I would only need to pay for my plane ticket. So I reached, I commented, and luckily I was one of the first people to have seen the post so that, they still had space available. Because, when publishers announce something like that, unless you, I guess, already have a relationship with them, maybe it's like, it's very much a luck thing then, to see who gets to see it first and volunteers first. So I reached out to them to see if they had space available, and they did. And so I am going to Essen because I will be working for Dronda Games. I mean, I have to work, I think, a minimum of 18 hours over 4 days, which is not bad at all. And then I'll have the rest of the time to myself, which is pretty cool. So I hope I will have my prototype ready to be able to show to some publishers while I'm there. And of course, scope out a bunch of games that I would not be able to get in America. So I'm super excited for that. So I had airline miles to use. So in the end, it's basically, it was very affordable for me in the end, since I had airline miles to use for the plane ticket and since my accommodations will be covered. So, I feel like the biggest concern for me when going to a convention is accommodations, which is why I have not been to Gen Con, because accommodations in Gen Con in Indianapolis are insanely expensive. But since my accommodations for Essen are being covered, like it just worked out so well, and I still can't believe that I'm going. Like I'm just so freaking excited, and it's just like a little over a month away if you think about it. So I'll be leaving on October 3rd on an overnight flight, arriving there on the 4th, and Essen is from October 5th to the 8th, so 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then I will be flying back on the 10th because I saved one day to explore Cologne, Germany. So I'll be flying into Dusseldorf, and I believe that's just like an hour by train to Cologne, I think. So I figured if I'm going all the way to Germany, I should at least explore some of the history of Germany. You know, I did go to Germany when I was very little because my father lived in Germany for during his like early 20s, I think, for some time. So when I was really little, we took a trip to Germany with my, you know, the whole family went, but I was too little to appreciate it. So it's not like something that I remember much of. Like I only have like very, you know, just little snippets of, you know, memories from Germany and nothing that was worthwhile. So I'm super excited to go to Cologne and check it out. And of course, you know, maybe even see a little bit of Dusseldorf while I'm there. I don't know. We'll see if, you know, there's anything to check out in Dusseldorf. And of course, Essen. I don't know if there's much to see in Essen besides being at the convention. So yeah, so that is super exciting. So I know that it is a couple, you know, like a month away. So maybe I should save this question for later. But, oh no, before I go into the question, let me talk about the cats. So, yeah, thank you all so much again for your donations. I have not received any new donations, but again, I'm always open to donations for the kitty cats. I've been seeing some new ones, so some cats that I had not seen before, so that's exciting. You know, they're just getting to trust me. They're, you know, getting closer and closer. I have not gotten to the point where I can pet any of them yet, but we're getting there. I think we're getting there. So, you know, they like to wait for me when I feed them. Like, they know what time to expect me every day. And they just kind of chill nearby and wait for me as I clean all of their dishes and put in new water and new food for them. So yeah, so I've been going rain or shine. So yeah, so you know, I do need to still, as I mentioned in the last video, figure out what to do once winter comes, and I'm going to have to change the time I go at in the winter time because it's kind of a secluded area, so not very safe. And my mother forbids me. I know, even at my age, I listen to my mother, but you know, she forbids me from going there in the evening when it's dark. So I only can go during daytime because of the kind of secluded area it is. And as a, you know, single woman, I think she's right. So I should, you know, exercise caution. So I'm definitely going to have to start changing the times I go at. As you know, the days get shorter and shorter. So yeah, so there is that. But yeah, but I'm super you know, happy that the cats are starting to trust me more and more. So as always, if you are, you know, feeling generous, donations are always accepted for the kitty cats. So yeah, so moving on to the question of the week. So I know Essen is a little over a month away, so maybe I should save this question for later, but I'm just so excited for Essen. So I will leave a link below to the preview of Essen, like which games are going to be demoed there and which games are going to be released at Essen or available to buy. And I would like to know which game on that list, if you get a chance to look at it, you are most excited for, or that you just happen to know is being released at Essen if you don't want to look at the whole list. You know, if you're not into Essen or new releases, then just, you know, just tell me a fun fact about yourself. So yeah, it would be nice to get to know you guys. So just leave a fun fact about yourself in the comments below. And I'll try to see if I can find some relatable fact to relay back to you. But yeah, so I will leave that list. I think I'm actually going to do a video as well. I think I want to shoot a video in which I go through the whole Essen list and then just talk about which games I'm excited to check out at Essen. But I want to do that in a way where I can actually have the list on screen as I'm like clicking on each thing so that you guys can see that as well. So I need to figure out how to do that because I don't think I've ever actually done that. So once I figure out how to do that, I will make a video about the games that I'm most excited for at Essen, because there are a number of them that I'm super excited for. I've already taken a peek at the list. So yeah, so let me know which game you are most excited for at Essen, or tell me a fun fact about yourself, or do both. Yeah, you can do both if you want to. So until next time, bye.